Hello and welcome back to Precon Decon, the rambling, unscripted video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. So here we are at the start of Season 6. What I'm going to do is just a brief little introduction video before we actually get into looking at the decks, just because we're going to start looking at Planeswalker decks. That's the focus of this season. We're just going to do all of them in this season. There's about 40 of them, so we can just smash through and do all of those. But this is like the first major shift in sort of precon design actually for a while. The last time I did this was back at the start of season 3, where they changed from theme decks to intro decks, and there was a whole packaging change. That was when we got foil face rares, and boosters started being included. So Planeswalker decks are such a big change in design that I thought we just do a quick introduction video just to discuss the differences, for people who are maybe unfamiliar with this product, because they don't make them anymore, and just talk about how they were designed, how they were put together. So for the most part, it's still a 60 card deck. Came in boxes like this, foil face rare, actually foil face mythic rare, actually, because obviously the focus on this is now Planeswalkers, and I think that makes a lot of sense in terms of design that they shifted to, because this is the point in sort of Magic's history when the storyline was becoming definitely more focused around Planeswalkers. So the Gatewatch had been established, and essentially Planeswalkers were becoming, I guess, Magic the Gathering's version of the Justice League or the Avengers. So a lot of the stories were very central to them as they hopped around to different planes, and this was kind of setting up the big Nicole Bolas War of the Spark story arc as well, which is all about Planeswalkers. So it just, I think, made sense to pivot to making Planeswalkers the faces of these decks. In fact, I would actually say it was probably a little bit overdue. I would argue it should have been done a little bit earlier, maybe in core sets or something. But so the way this works is you had a foil mythic Planeswalker, you had a few other unique cards, and then exclusive to the deck, and we'll talk about those in a minute. And then the rest of the deck was just still focused on the set. So this Chandra one was released in Kaladesh, so it's full of Kaladesh cards. It still sort of follows a lot of the way a normal pre-constructed deck we built. It still has kind of a gimmick or a strategy that it follows, and it sort of does that okay. It comes with booster packs, so you can open those and kind of modify the deck. And honestly, it does the sensible thing. Going back to Planeswalkers, is that it's an important kind of card type to the game. So this did a good job of introducing the card type to new players, because people need to know how Planeswalkers work, because they work so differently compared to lots of other cards. But anyway, so let's talk about how these decks were put together. So the main thing is obviously there's a foil mythic rare, which is the Planeswalker. So this the Planeswalkers in the Planeswalker decks are sort of exclusive versions to the decks. Those decks were the only places you could get these Planeswalkers. And they were designed specifically, essentially, to be very non-competitive. So I guess competitive, or non-casual players where wouldn't feel compelled, I guess, to buy the product, which I think is a smart move, because I think obviously people would hate that if they had to buy, sort of four of this Chandra Planeswalker deck to get 4 copies of this really good version of Chandra, whatever. So all the exclusive Planeswalkers are usually sort of 5 to 7 mana. They're usually very expensive. Their effects are usually very straightforward, very simple, and you see Chandra's ones here are just deal damage in various ways, not doing anything particularly special or interesting. Some of the designs I will say actually later on do get kind of interesting, but for the most part they're very straightforward. They're very simple designs. It takes forever to reach their ultimates, that kind of thing. So they were designed to be kind of kitchen table Planeswalkers. They weren't designed to be competitive at all. For the most part, they're all right. They're still Planeswalkers. Planeswalkers still fine. Really, no matter what their cost is. But yeah, that was how they were pitched, as designed to be. So it's kind of weird to call these mythic rare Planeswalkers, and really they feel more kind of I would say at an uncommon or a rare level. But yeah, anyway. So what these Planeswalker decks also have, this breaks down actually a little bit in the later ones, but for the most part, it follows this thing. So you have the you have the exclusive foil rare Planeswalkers, but then you also have new cards that were kind of in the set but not, if that makes sense. So like all these cards here, they do have the Kaladesh symbol, but they weren't in like Kaladesh booster set booster packs or anything, so that you could only really get them in this Planeswalker deck. So the way it works, basically, each Planeswalker deck has 2 copies of a base like a search spell, which means so it's a spell that usually has like kind of like a smallish effect or a very straightforward effect. Liberating combustion here just does 6 damage to a creature. But then so like every Planeswalker deck has a spell like this, which then it lets you search your library or graveyard for that specific Planeswalker. And then reveal it and put it into your hand. So this is a really nice way of just guaranteeing you kind of get the Planeswalker out. So you've essentially got, I would say, like 3 copies if we're being generous of it. So the Planeswalker itself and the 2 search spells for it. So yeah, it has 2 of those. And then it has 3 of the like Planeswalker buddy cards. So these are normally creatures, not always. I think there are some which are like artifacts or enchantments or sorceries or whatever. But for the most part, they're creatures who are normally sort of okay costed. And then if you control a Planeswalker of of a certain type, they get a bonus. For example, the Renegade Firebrand here. It's 2 in red for a 3/2. Which is fine, obviously. And then as long as you control a Chandra Planeswalker, he gets +1/+0 on first strike. So it just goes up to being a 4/2 first strike, which for 3 mana is pretty good, but it obviously is relying on having the 1 Chandra card in the deck out. So I'm not so crazy on these, as I'll discuss over the next like 40 or so videos. Like these are typically I don't think that great, but they're there. So you have like 3 of those. And then you have a full playset. You have a full 4 of like the Planeswalker common, in this case Flame Lash, which is just like a common burn spell. But pretty much every Planeswalker deck has these. So these aren't directly tied to a Planeswalker itself. No, it's not like tied to that specific version of Planeswalker. It's not reliant on controlling a particular Planeswalker. It's literally just a useful common here that's just kind of to fill space. So that's pretty much how all the Planeswalker decks are put together. And then the rest of the deck is just from the set as normal. So I say Chandra's deck is the remainder is just Kaladesh cards. So yeah, that is basically how the Planeswalker decks are put together. So just a little kind of 101 there to get us started. But yeah, we're gonna jump straight in. We're gonna start looking at the Planeswalker decks, which is exciting. So that's gonna be the next 40 videos. I'm probably gonna do those one every 2 days. I'm probably not gonna do them every single day. I think I'm gonna space them out a little bit more. But yeah, let's begin that journey. I've not seen a lot of these decks, so yeah, it was a real voyage of discovery for me, because this is a point where I definitely phased out the game. So it was very enlightening putting these videos together, and I'm probably going to make some bad calls, but that's the fun of the series, isn't it? So yeah, really hope you like the upcoming videos, and as always, like and comment if you on all those videos, and yeah, I'm rubbish at that YouTube bit. Let's just get on with it. Let's start looking at cards.